and she's here to share her story with us today. So Joan, the stage is yours.
Hi everybody. My name is Joan Alyvia, and I am a former Wish kid. 15 years ago, the Make-A-Wish Foundation made a long-time dream of mine come true. I got to meet one of my most treasured musical and personal heroes, the fabulous Miss Dolly Parton. In truth, I'm still not quite sure how that happened. I've spent a lot of the last 15 years trying to figure all that out. I've never considered myself all that special. Nothing about me made me worthy of getting to have this experience. At least I didn't think so. I was a moppy-haired, crooked-teethed, scrawny kid. A world-renowned organization who helps kids far more deserving than I was knocks on my door, which then ultimately led to my meeting one of the greatest entertainers only ever. That doesn't happen every day. I was born and raised right here in San Diego. I attended Mar Vista High School in Imperial Beach and was barely an average student. So how did a kid like that come to be part of Make-A-Wish? Well, I was born with congenital heart disease. At birth, I had complete heart block and 6 holes in my heart that needed to be repaired and closed. A pacemaker was implanted in me at 2 days old, and I had open heart surgery at 2 weeks old. During this time, every doctor and nurse at UCSD Hospital in La Jolla told my parents their baby was going to die. And if I survived surgery, I would only live past the age of 5. During heart surgery, I was burned severely. I have a 3rd-degree burn on the left side of my stomach. Nothing of this nature had ever happened before, and to my knowledge, it has not happened since. I was a very rare and delicate case. The odds were not in my favor. I've been in and out of hospitals my entire life. I'm no stranger to an operating room or every test and scan imaginable. In 2003, I was diagnosed with an enlarged aorta. In my youth, pacemaker surgeries were every 5 to 6 years. Of course, at the time, I didn't know how life-changing one of them would be. In December of 2007, I went in for a routine cardiology and pacemaker checkup at Children's Hospital. Checkups were about every 6 months, and everything was usually fine. Prior to this appointment, though, I had been feeling lethargic, exhausted, and my heart rate kept fluctuating. At the appointment, my cardiologist informed me that my heart and aorta were doing great. My pacemaker, on the other hand, was completely dead, and had been since September. I was immediately admitted into the surgical unit, and the next day I had my pacemaker replaced and stayed another 5 days to recover. During this hospital stay, a social worker came to see me. She informed me that I had the opportunity to be a wish kid, and that I could make a wish of my very own. At the onset, I was nervous and very confused. I was under the impression that only terminally ill children were eligible to be part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I wasn't terminally ill. I started to think, does this person know something I don't know but should know? The social worker at the hospital informed me that because I have a life-threatening heart condition, and having survived what I went through as a baby, I was eligible to be a wish kid. I had until I was 18 years old to make my wish, and there was no need to decide right away. Of course, I'm never that good at being subtle. I said excitedly and practically all in one breath, I want to be Aretha McIntyre and Dolly Parton. I was raised on all kinds of music, from rock and roll to show tunes, jazz and the blues. But I loved country music, and as far as I was concerned, it doesn't get any better than Reba and Dolly. Both are huge influences on me as a musician and as a songwriter, but meeting them, never gonna happen. Months passed by, and I was beginning to think maybe it had been a little too good to be true. Maybe they forgot about me. Or was I still coming down from the high of anesthesia and fever dreaming? Finally, I got a phone call from my two wish granters, Sarah and Evelyn, in March of 2008. Unfortunately, I couldn't meet Reba and Dolly together because their schedules didn't match up. I had to choose only one, but I figured go big or go home. I remember seeing a documentary about Dollywood on the Travel Channel a few years prior, and was in awe of what I saw. Dolly having influenced me deeply, especially as a songwriter and human being, I chose to meet her. This was exciting. The reality of something this big coming true in my life was actually getting closer. Maybe this could happen. I used to plant myself on my grandmother's sofa and rattle the house with Dolly's music. I would daydream about her and I singing together and writing together. I'd harmonize with her vocal on the record and envision Dolly and me on stage, working 9 to 5. I was on cloud 9, believing one day our paths would cross. But then reality kicked in, and I came to my senses. Yeah, right, like that'll never happen. Until it did. When I was 15 years old, on April 12, 2008, at the Backstage restaurant in Dollywood. Make-A-Wish flew my family and I out to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Driving up to Dollywood, I saw the gigantic butterfly sign that greets you when you arrive. I love butterflies. They've served to be good omens in my life. Our tour guide, a lovely woman named Connie, takes us to the Backstage restaurant where they served us breakfast. Various people who have worked with Dolly or encountered her have said that whenever you hear the clicking of high heels and laughter like a cascade of wind chimes, you know she's coming. Before anything else walks through the door, no pun intended, it's her laughter first. So I'm sitting at the breakfast table at the restaurant with my family and Connie, when all of a sudden I hear the clicking of high heels and that laughter. But when I looked around, there was no sign of Dolly. I assumed I was getting a little too excited, so I put my head down on the table and took a few deep breaths. Just then, my dad elbows me in the rib and says, "Hey, look up, look who's here." I looked up, and there she was, 3 feet away from me. She wore a denim jacket with rhinestones at the collar, ruby red earrings, a red top to match, and the tightest capri pants I've ever seen, even taller high heels, also ruby red, at least 9 inches, and the tiniest waist. Now, if I walked up this stage with 9-inch heels, this event would go very differently. There were several other kids at the restaurant seated at different tables. All of them were locals from Dolly's Imagination Library. I was the only kid from Make-A-Wish and from out of town. After spending a few minutes with the family before us, Dolly comes to our table. Her assistant tells her who I am and where I'm from. "You're the guest of honor today," she squeaked, excitedly, as only Dolly can. "You're the one that I have been waiting for," she said. Immediately, whatever anxieties I had went away. Dolly has this innate ability of making you feel as if it's just the two of you in the room. She's twinkling, she's sparkling, hysterical, genuine, and totally interested in you. She was so interested in me, I was almost interested in me. There are no airs about her. She's the real deal and one of the most authentic people that we have left. She had no idea how sick I was, if I had 5 months to live or 5 years, but she treated me as if I was the biggest star in the world, all while remaining graceful, angelic, and totally present. And that's Dolly. It honestly felt as if I was catching up with an old friend. She signed photos for me, her latest album at the time, and I even presented her with a quilt that was hand-stitched for her that my entire student body at my high school saw. She is the only person I've met when walking away from her. I'm convinced there is magic inside of her. My life before this experience was, as I said, not all that special. I spent most of my youth keeping to myself. I wrote songs, caught butterflies, pretty much lived in a world all my own, and then had a few surgeries in between. My saving grace has always been music, the truths and the treasures I found amongst its stars. So naturally, under normal circumstances, my meeting someone of Dolly's caliber should have continued being nothing but a daydream. Instead, this experience remains the highlight of my life, a tangible memory that nobody can take away from me. I can always come back to it. And that's all because of you, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. In one glorious weekend, out of pure serendipity, my life changed forever. There's a photo of me and Dolly that is placed in a metal frame that my wish granters gave me before we flew out to Pigeon Forge. Dolly signed it with a diamond-tipped pen that I brought with me. In the left-hand corner, it says, "Love, Dolly Parton." For the last 15 years, I walk past that photo every day. It sits at the very top of my bookshelf. Every now and then, I take a real good look at that photo, and it hits me. That really did happen. Maybe my life is special. It's no longer a dream or a wish. It's now reality. Because of my wish granters, Sarah and Evelyn, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, that moment is forever stitched into the tapestry of my life. I don't know what on earth I did to deserve it. I don't know what kind of cosmic energy was in my favor, but I've been through enough in my life to know that when something that good comes to you, hold on to it. Don't question it. Just hush up, look up, and give a heartfelt thank you. I never thought I'd be up here today knowing what I've overcome, knowing that every obstacle that has tried to knock me down didn't. It is an honor and a privilege to be part of this family and to be sharing my story with you today. I felt indebted to you for a long time. I'm so moved and inspired by the work you do and the joy that you bring to kids and their families every day. One of my favorite Dolly quotes says, "If you see someone without a smile, give them yours." And that's what you do. That's exactly what you do for these kids. Because of you, another wish kid, just like I was, gets the chance to experience their wildest dreams manifested. They get to forget about the treatments they're going through, the pain they suffer, the daily grind of hospital visits and appointments, tests, and operations. I'm no stranger to that. You give these kids the greatest gift they can ever get. And that's the chance to be a kid. I'll never understand how a child has to fight cancer or an illness that they know will eventually take their life and still find the strength and the life in them to fight. With all my heart, I hope 15 years from now, there will be another wish kid standing up here, sharing their story and their testimony with you. I know there will be. Another favorite Dolly quote of mine has become my own personal mantra. Be who you are and do it on purpose. I now live my life as a transgender woman, and I've been the happiest I've ever been, dancing in the light of my true authentic self. I'm an alumni of Southwestern College and Point Loma Nazarene University. I have a bachelor's degree in music and child development education. I'm an elementary school teacher working on my master's program so that I can earn my credentials. Music is still a deep passion of mine, and I have found recent moderate success with my band, Joan and the Roses. Music is as necessary to me as breathing. Last October, I got to go back to Dollywood with a wonderful person in my life. I was not prepared for how emotional I'd be. It was so surreal, deeply moving, and incredibly sentimental to see the giant butterfly entrance again, the Chasing Rainbows Museum, and the Celebrity Theater where I sat in the very first row watching Dolly perform in all her glory, right after I met her. My first trip was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I thought that it really was once in a lifetime if you're lucky to have it happen to you at all. But while having breakfast at the same restaurant, now called the Front Porch Cafe, and sitting at the same table where I met Dolly all those years ago, I realized it was one of those rare moments when a person has come full circle. It's not every day you get to go back to a place that special in both your heart and your mind. In March, I was diagnosed with stage 1 cardiac sarcoma, a rare form of heart cancer. Since April, I've been receiving radiation treatment and will continue to until the end of October, when the first and, God willing, only round will be finished. I feel I've had a lot of good fortune come into my life, and I want to pay it forward. I just want to sparkle wherever light won't shine. Many doctors are responsible for my being alive. I believe a higher power is also responsible. But I also credit my resilience. I'm not brave, and I'm not strong. I'm resilient. I'm also standing here today because of the beautiful people I have in my life who make life worth everything, worth living and fighting for. 2 of them are here with me today. My amazing partner in music and life adventures, Ryan, and my beautiful sister, Victoria. I face mental health challenges in my life. By medical experts and standards, I shouldn't be alive. In October, I'll be celebrating my 30th birthday. For someone who wasn't supposed to survive past the age of 5, I guess I showed them. I've never taken my life for granted. I'm grateful for all of it. The ups, downs, and turnarounds, the joys, triumphs, and traumas. As an adult, I've stepped into myself completely, thriving and arriving every day. I was the kid in the feathered boa with my head in the clouds. Never did I think a surgery, just one of many I've had in my life, would land me with an organization that splashed a little sparkle of their own onto me and made one of my longtime dreams come true. You ever wonder what might have happened to the kid who always had her head in the clouds? With gentle hands and the heart of a fighter, she survived. Her journey wasn't always easy. Her story, not very easy to tell. Far from it. But I'm still here. I wrote Dolly a little poem on the plane ride to Dollywood. For the life of me, I don't remember anything about that poem except the first 2 lines. My boots are made for walking and your heels are made for clicking. Trust me, my songwriting abilities have improved since then. Dolly's taking pictures with me. There's a small crack on the wooden floor that her heel gets stuck in for just a moment, and she stumbles very slightly. I catch her arm so she doesn't fall. Oh my goodness, she exclaims. I almost broke a heel. Well, look at those heels, I said. Darling, she said, It's just like you wrote in your poem. Your boots are made for walking, my heels are made for clicking. She takes a beat, and then she says, now I gotta go because the clock is ticking. That's how Dolly Parton left me, and that's how I'll leave you today. A lot has changed in my life in those 15 years. Well, what can I say? It takes a lot to look this cheap. I work hard at it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It is an honor to be with you. You are doing God's work.